As the wise Beyonce once sang, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. This is Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Today we'll be talking about rings and things as we count down the top 10 Marvel superheroes you didn't know were married. Number 10, Rogue and Magneto. Rogue and Magneto are a couple that have been teased in the main continuity, but they have always been kept apart by their allegiances and their approaches to what each would call heroism. Make no mistake, while Magneto has played the role of villain before, you can bet your bottom dollar that he has likely always thought of himself as the hero of the story. That is what makes him such a compelling villain, or what made him such a compelling villain as time went on and he was more clearly defined and developed as such. However, while on Earth 616, their love has felt quite forbidden. In the Age of Apocalypse reality, things were a lot different. And with Professor X no longer really standing in the way, causing their ideologies and perspectives to differ in this reality, Magneto and Rogue were finally able to be together. Not to say that Professor X was like there in the main continuity being like, you guys can't be together, but more that he just shaped, I think, the divide between them. Part of the understandable allure here is that Magneto is one of the only people who can safely touch Rogue when she has less control over her powers. And it has to do with his magnetic powers. He's basically got like a little magnetic shield that protects him, if you will, but it's like super tight to his skin. In the reality of Earth 295, aka AOA, the two even end up having a son together who they named Charles. Yay! Number 9, Spider-Man and Black Cat. Felicia and Peter have been on and off again paramours for years, but did you know that at one point they were married? Huh? Yeah, except it wasn't a real wedding. It was a fake out. It all happened as part of Black Cat's plan to deal with the Magia by marrying Spider and then fighting him to the death? Well, more marrying him in the kind of mob-related marriage that is supposed to end with a fight to the death in a crypt. Just go with her here, she's got a plan. Except of course, Black Cat's real plan is to skip that part after they are wed and get straight to business. Tomb raiding business, of course. That's right, Black Cat recruits Spider-Man to help her tomb raid a secret mob crypt located below the area where they're supposed to duke it out after their marriage. And Spider-Man is there to lend some super strength and his skills to help her out. So, not a real marriage, which might be why this is one that most people haven't heard about. To check out this adventure, check out Black Cat Annual number 1 from 2019. Also, just check out the Jed MacKay Black Cat series in general, it's a good time. And friends, if you are loving this list, please head on over to Facebook to show some love for the channel over there. You can give us a follow, you can give us a like, and we have lots of fresh content that'll be coming your way over there. Number 8, Hulk and Caiera. While in Thor Ragnarok, Hulk was more focused on gladiatorial fighting than romance. In the comic book version of a similar tale, he was all about war and love during his time on Sakaar. This narrative in the comics is known as World War Hulk, and it actually happened not because Hulk sent himself off-world thinking he was a monster, but because the secret superhero group known as the Illuminati had him sent off-world because they thought he was too dangerous. He crash-landed on the planet Sakaar, and though it was a tough world, would make a home for himself there. He helped to basically lead an uprising of those fighting in the gladiatorial pits, and would even become the king of Sakaar, with the fearsome warrior Caiera becoming his queen. Together the two were ready to start a family when the ship he'd crash-landed on suddenly exploded. The explosion was so powerful it devastated Sakaar, killing his wife and seemingly killing their future child together. But the child, who'd grow up to be Scar, would later be revealed to of course still be alive, so don't worry, Scar is fine. Hulk was so devastated by the loss of his family, he returned to Earth seeking vengeance, believing the Illuminati, who sent him away, to also be responsible for the explosion. So he basically came back being like, I'm gonna kill everybody. Don't be the Illuminati. They make a lot of bad choices. Number 7, Iron Woman and Captain America. Yep, in an alternate reality where Tony is a woman instead of a man named Natasha Stark, there was no Civil War. Instead, the conflict was avoided as the Natasha and Steve of this universe ended up hitched. Just goes to show that love really can solve all problems. And also goes to show that raging at someone might actually be a sign that you might be harboring, I don't know, other intense feelings about them. Too bad the Captain America and Iron Man of the main continuity couldn't solve their problems this way. The only caveat here is that because these two lovebirds in a sense neutralized one another's aggression, it opened up the playing field for the Reed Richards of this universe to successfully step up to the plate and put in place the superhero registration program. So no war, but that still happened in this reality. We get a glimpse into this reality of Earth 3490 in Dark Reign Fantastic Four issue number 2, in case you also wanted to peer into that reality. Number 6. Hawkeye and Mockingbird. I just realized the bird thing, the bird connection going on. This relationship, this marriage makes so much sense. Although this is common knowledge among Hawkeye comic book fans, Hawkeye MCU fans might not know about this one. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Clint has a much more stable life. He is married to Laura and together they have kids. Laura, basically with the kids, lives out on a farm, and Clint's family is kept pretty secret in order to keep them safe. However, in the comics, Clint's love life is much more, messy. He did marry at one point to the hero Mockingbird, but that didn't last very long. Bobby Morse is Mockingbird, and she and Clint eloped during their time together on the Avengers. They also fought alongside one another as a married couple during that time. But it got really weird at the end there, and then they split up with Phantom Rider. Oh boy. Number 5. Black Cat and Flash Thompson. Black Cat and Flash Thompson were for a very brief time an item in the main continuity. They got together out of spite as Felicia simply wanted to use Flash to make Spider-Man jealous. Peter was with Mary Jane at the time. Felicia intended on dumping Flash eventually and breaking his heart, but in the end she actually fell for him. She was so in love that at one point she actually asked Flash to marry her. However, he turned her down in the main continuity of Earth 616, confessing he had really only wanted to date her because he knew that she had dated Spider-Man, knowing the truth of the secret vigilante identity of Black Cat. So he knew she was Black Cat, and he was just like, I kind of just wanted to be closer to Spider-Man. So that's why I was like trying to date you. But yeah. However, in the reality of MC2, Earth 982, their love story takes a different turn, and they do end up getting married and even having kids. They don't stay together, however, and eventually do get divorced. Their son lives with Flash, and their daughter lives with Felicia thereafter. Number 4. Thor and Enchantress. Thor and Enchantress actually end up getting married, despite usually being enemies, in the alternate future where Rune King Thor rules over Midgard after they rebelled against him. This was a future that ended up being erased by Thor when his son Magni convinced his father that his whole approach to ruling was wrong here. You see, while Thor initially wanted to take over Midgard to basically protect it and its citizens, it had come to be in this future that humans were basically like second-class citizens whose lives were not really valued here. Magni saw this and sought to change it after falling for one of the humans. Eventually, he died trying to do so, and it was his death that made Thor travel back in time to warn his past self against conquering Earth. While Enchantress and Thor may seem like an odd pairing here, it's always been implied in the comics that the two may have feelings for one another, but that they couldn't be together, mainly because Enchantress wasn't sure if she actually loved Thor, or she just loved and wanted his power. In this reality, she comes to accept her love for him after he takes over Midgard. The two start a romance, and eventually they get wed. Number 3. Deadpool and Mystique. Yep, Deadpool once married Mystique. I mean, honestly, we could probably do a top 10 list about superheroes you didn't know were married just with Deadpool. He's been married quite a bit and has had a surprising amount of relationships over the years. Wade is apparently a straight up Romeo in the comics, and I don't know, in the movies too maybe. Mystique, however, was marrying Wade simply to use him, in kind of, typical Mystique fashion. Typical Mystique. She also didn't advertise who she was, using her powers to shapeshift to appear as a dark-haired woman named Anna. In the Mega Pact issue number 27 of the 2013 Deadpool series, we see how Anna continues to haunt Deadpool even after she got away in the story titled Quickie. I'll just let you read it. If you want to read that story, it's actually short, it's only a few pages. It's pretty funny. Number 2. Clea and Doctor Strange. Apparently not a lot of people know who Clea even is still, so although this one comes to us from the main continuity, I think it's an important one to highlight, because when Clea showed up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, there was a lot of people that were like, who's that? So I'm here to tell you more about that. In the comics, Clea is widely known for not just being a powerful magic user in her own right, right, but also for being the wife of Doctor Strange. The two weren't able to get married legally due to Clea being from the Dark Dimension and both of them just being, highly magical folks who I think were kind of like a bit above marriage, but they did their own marriage thing. Their romance is long and complicated, and at one point they actually have their minds linked and their souls entwined thanks to the help of the Spirit of Earth during a fight against Dormammu, which happens before they're even like, let's make it official. But also, I feel like that's pretty official once your souls and minds are connected. From there, it's just about making it more official if you want to. Instead of having a wedding, they decide to just share a ring from the Dark Dimension. Super cash. It appears as two wedding bands when they have them on, but it's magic, so it's actually just one ring that they're both wearing together. Super cute. And from that point on, they're officially hitched. That happened way back in the 80s, by the way, when Steven was rocking an eye patch and Clea was the ruler of the Dark Dimension, following the defeat of Dormammu. At one point they almost got divorced, but Steven actually decided against it when Clea offered, deciding to keep their marriage intact, but just be friends in marriage instead. So even though they weren't romantically together for a while, they still were considered married, which also is super cute, can I just say? I feel like they have one of the cutest romances. Number 1. Captain America and Rogue / Miss Marvel. These two end up getting married and even having a daughter together. That is in the reality where everyone came to basically accept they're just trapped on the original battle world instead of returning home. As such, Captain America and Rogue end up falling in love. And if that sounds weird to you, well, it gets a little weirder. Instead of Rogue being called Anna Marie here, she actually goes by the name Carol, as in Carol Danvers. This is because Carol, whose powers she fully absorbed and also whose memories and consciousness she took within herself, seem to have taken hold of Rogue's form, becoming the more dominant persona within her. In other words, it's basically Miss Marvel in Rogue's body, who then uses that body to marry Cap and have a daughter with him. Seems a little weird. Also, just to clarify, Carol does have better control over Rogue's powers, so that's how they're able to have a daughter together. Who are some of your favorite married couples from Marvel Comics? Which marriages were you most surprised by on this list? What are some other shocking superhero marriages that you've come across in the comics and perhaps in the multiverse? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. I'll see you in the future, but till then, have a happy Pride and stay nerdy, YouTube.